Yo, what's going on? It's Rick the Dawn. Thank you for clicking on this video. We have a loaded schedule because the internet streets is going crazy. We're going to talk about Ezail Iverson, who just turned 50 years old. We're going to talk about RKelly, who's facing some real serious things behind bars. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris and her 2028 presidential run is coming. And of course, we're going to talk about the LA deportation efforts that's going on because there's a lot happening out there. Before we do, please check out my signature shoe, the Don Don 1, at aliveshoes.com/Don Don 1. Aliveshoes.com/Don Don 1 wheat. And my favorite, aliveshoes.com/Don Don 1 jelly. That's right. All right, so I would like to first start off with my main man, Ezail Iverson. I'm not sure if you heard, but he just turned 50 years old. And it turns out one of his financial advisors set up a blind trust on his behalf that when he turned 50 years old, basically all this money unloaded on to him, right? Now, turns out that amount due to compound interest and other factors is now $50 million. So imagine turning 50 years old and, somebody in your family was looking out for you because they saw that you was living a fast life and you wake up, matter of fact, you get a little text on your phone that your account has been supersized with $50 million. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. We heard about a Reebok trust that took place or was put in place on his behalf. And I don't think that this $50 million trust is the same Reebok deal. All right. If you don't know, Reebok put in some stipulation into AI's contract that, June 7th, 2030, when he turns 55 years old, it would basically unlock somewhere north of $35 million. I think that this whole new news of the blind trust is separate from the Reebok deal. That's just my opinion. Someone fact check me on that. I'm not sure. But the Reebok deal was set in place because I think it was AI's wife. I heard it was Ezail Iverson's wife who saw that, he was living kind of fast. He was blowing money. Because you know how AI is. If you know AI, you know him, right? I don't know him, but I've watched him. I studied him even. He's flashy, chains. He's part of that rap culture. So, he was just going through money, probably had a huge entourage. And I believe it was his wife who advocated for the Reebok deal or the trust that Reebok put in place. Now, it turns out that Ezail Iverson every year receives $800,000. Now, that is a lot of money to the average person, but when you're Ezail Iverson and you have a lifestyle that you have to maintain, he's always front row, etc., etc. You can burn through $800,000 fairly quickly. So it turns out that Reebok deal nets him $800,000 per year and has a boatload of cash, $37 million set forth so that when he turns 55, June 7th, I'm actually going to put that on my calendar because I need something from Uncle Iverson. No, I'm just kidding. But no, when he turns 55, that's exactly when that money unloads. Okay, 35 million. But it's this blind trust that everybody's talking about. And it turns out that this I'm not sure, may be different from that Reebok trust. Okay, this new trust, it seems like something that was put in place by maybe his financial advisor. I'm not sure. But I want to talk real quick about compound interest because it turns out that the amount that was put in place a long time ago is not the amount that we see today. And it turns out there were two blind trusts put in place on Ezail Iverson's behalf. One when he turned 25 years old to, sustain him after retirement. And the one that we're talking about today, that's worth $50 million. And for those people who don't understand the importance of compound interest, it's basically your money having babies. Like if you take $1 and you put it in the bank or anything of that magnitude, that dollar has a baby. Let's say that baby is only 10 cents or a penny or 5 cents. Well, compound interest or interest in of itself is essentially saying your dollar had a baby that's 10 cents. And what happens to all babies? They grow up and they become, guess what? Dollars or parents in our analogy. So you have a dollar there. It births 10 cents. That 10 cents turns into 20 cents. That 20 cents turns into 80 cents. Then that 80 cents turns into $1, and then that dollar has a baby. So, that's essentially what interest is or compound interest is. It's the interest compounding upon itself. And it's so important that, if nothing else, if you take nothing else from what I'm talking about, we have to, like AI or at least his financial advisor, think about the future. A lot of people, including myself sometimes, we're mostly focused on what's going on right now. And Ezail Iverson could have easily fell into that trap. And maybe he did, but thankfully he had good people in his corner who put the right moves in place. And I don't know. I want to ask you this question. Do you have money put up? And I'm talking about in an IRA or an IRA Roth, a mutual fund, or some type of stock investment that yields dividends, stuff like that. Do you have any of those? Because if not, you might want to start, you might want to start putting some money away because, you will get older. That's pretty much promised. Either that or you won't be here, one or the other. But if you plan to be here, you want to put some money up. And I put it like this. This is the best way I can put it out there for you is if you come across a lump sum or if you're saving money and your money gets to a certain point, let's say $5,000 or $10,000. Sometimes if you save effectively, that number is supposed to grow. I'm not talking about the person who saves and then they keep taking money out their savings. I'm talking about that person who has discipline and every check they put up, $15, $100, $1,500, whatever the number might be. Over time, obviously, that amount is going to increase. And once you get to a certain amount, let's say like $20,000 saved, $10,000 saved, $2,000 saved, whatever that number is, maybe take $500 of your savings and put it into a long-term savings or a high yield savings account or some type of account that you can't touch it until a certain time. I had one of those. What was it? I think it was a CD. That's the word I was looking for. Maybe consider going to a bank and putting some money into a CD. Now, I hated this CD because you could not take money out of it like a traditional savings account. But one thing that it did do is it protected my money long term. This is very different from an investment account because when you're investing in the stock market, you know what happens? You have the potential of incurring risk. You have risk involved. There's risk involved. You can lose a lot of money. You can lose all your money. But a CD or a high yield savings account allows your money to be basically safe from the stock market, from fluctuations in the world. Is safe. The only downside is you can't touch it. And sometimes even with a CD, the amounts that you see over time can be kind of slow. So if you like fast money, obviously this doesn't speak to you. But man, shout out to Ezail Iverson. I'm just super happy for him. Now, I want to talk about RKelly. Let me tell you, man, it's been bittersweet. And I'm not sure if that's the word I want to use, but on one hand, I really miss his music. I miss his presence. On the other hand, if he is truly guilty of some of the stuff that they're saying he's guilty of, and I'm assuming he is because he's in jail. You can't go to jail for fake evidence. Obviously, the evidence presented was strong enough to land him in jail. Nevertheless, it's just difficult to see this because, again, we all at one point or another really bonded with RKelly musically. But here's a crazy thing that's going on. It turns out, now you got to follow me on this one because it's kind of crazy, but it turns out that someone within the Aryan Brotherhood was hired to kill RKelly allegedly. I got to throw that in there. So let me play out the whole movie for you. It turns out that RKelly and his lawyer were about to make a lot of fuss, a lot of noise against the jail officials that he's being, guarded by. And if I'm not mistaken, RKelly is now in North Carolina. He's in a jail in North Carolina, a federal jail. So it turns out that RKelly and his attorney were about to basically make a whole bunch of noise and go to the press because when RKelly's attorney was sending personal messages or correspondence to RKelly in jail, turns out, or at least the accusation is, that the police officials were taking those correspondence and basically doing away with them. We don't know why they would have done that because, again, it's all alleged, but we don't know if it's true. If it is true, we don't know why they would have done that. But the point is, because those personal correspondence between RKelly and his attorney were being tampered with and being removed and, not given to RKelly and his attorney was about to make a lot of noise. And the jail officials allegedly got wind of this move by RKelly's attorney. And as a result, what happened was they hired, this is alleged, we don't know if this is true. Allegedly, they hired or at least beckoned someone within the jail that's a part of the Aryan Brotherhood. His name is Michael Stein or something to that effect. But I do know his first name is Michael. They summoned Michael to basically kill RKelly. And here's the promise. The promise was, if you do this for us, we will basically let you out of jail. And it's crazy when you think about it. Hey, if you kill somebody, I'll let you free. So here's how they rationalized it. They said, look, you're going to be charged with the murder of RKelly. But when it comes to the evidence, we're going to fumble the evidence. We're going to smudge the evidence. We're going to make the evidence. We're going to tangle the evidence up. We're going to throw the evidence out. We're going to basically corrupt the evidence. That way, that when it does go to court, when it does go to trial, it'll be a mistrial, or the case will be thrown out due to a lack of evidence. Wow, interesting. So turns out that Michael Stein, I'm going to call him Michael Stein. I feel like that's his name. Stick with me on this one. Turns out Michael Stein, who was one of the leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood, he initially agreed to actually carry out this murder of RKelly. That's crazy, by the way. So he agreed to do it. Then he had second thoughts, and he spilled the beans to RKelly. He said, hey, man, I've been hired to kill you. And of course, RKelly, being terrified as he is, I mean, we're talking about a guy who ran off the stage when he was performing in New York with Jay-Z. Remember the Best of Both Worlds tour, when he ran off the stage and he said somebody in the crowd had a gun? We still don't know who this person is. We don't know if it's an imagination or imaginary person. We still don't know. But the point is, it don't take a lot to scare RKelly. That's what I'm trying to say. So Michael Stein, the Aryan Brotherhood leader, tells RKelly that there was a plot on his life and he was supposed to be the one who carried it out. And of course, Robert Kelly went to his attorney, explained everything to him that he heard, that his life is on the line because of the the whistleblowing situation with regards to the correspondence of the mail from his attorney to himself. This caused them to now ask for early release. There you go. It's all coming back to me. So RKelly, or I should say his attorney on his behalf, is asking the judge to allow him to be free from the federal facility that he's in as a result of threats upon his life. Now, this is where you think it ends, but it gets crazier because apparently even the person who, Michael Stein, even the person who was hired to kill RKelly is in danger because allegedly the operatives or the officials at the federal institution in North Carolina have hired, or at least attempted to hire, a second Aryan Brotherhood member to kill not only RKelly, but also Michael. So essentially what they're doing is they're trying to get rid of all the evidence. They're trying to get rid of RKelly. They're trying to get rid of Michael Stein, who's obviously telling all these secrets. And by doing so, they would basically send everything to the grave. Michael, RKelly, and this whole little situation that was supposed to originally transpire when RKelly was going to bring it to the public. Like, hey, I'm not getting my letters from my attorney because these officials here in North Carolina's facility, they're tampering with the mail or what have you. So that's kind of crazy when you think about it. And essentially, RKelly is asking if he can serve out the rest of his sentence. What is it? A temporary furlough? I think that's what they might term it. I'm not exactly sure. But I do know that he's trying to complete his term or go through this whole jail process from home. He wants home detention. And what do you think about that? Is that it? Is that the move? He wants to be removed from the federal facility, obviously out of fear for his life, and he wants to serve out his sentence, at least temporarily, from home. What's your thoughts on that? Now, for me, I had a lot of thoughts about this. I said to myself, is this really what's going on? I mean, if you follow the trail, it just seems a little ridiculous. Okay, listen, RKelly is not getting his mail, so he plans to go public, or at least his attorney plans to go public about why he's not getting his mail. The officials hear about it. They said, we got to get rid of this guy because it's going to put a bad light on us. And talk about a overreaction. So the officials hire a Aryan Brotherhood member to kill RKelly, which is crazy. All right. The Aryan Brotherhood member accepts the job, but then reneges on the job, tells RKelly. RKelly tells his attorney, and now they're asking if he can be released. Upon asking to be released, the officials doubled down on this bad decision to hire a second Aryan Brotherhood member to kill both Michael and RKelly. I'm calling, look, man, I don't believe this. But I will say this. This is a really solid attorney work because it's muddying up the waters. And, when there's nothing happening, you have to create something. It wouldn't surprise me if what actually happened was way less intense. Perhaps maybe one letter or a couple letters might have been mishandled. I mean, I'm sure that RKelly gets tons of mail. He gets fan mail. I'm sure it's not impossible that something like that could have happened. And as such, if I'm an attorney, any wrongdoing on the part of officials, I'm going to use it to my advantage. I'm going to use it as leverage. And as far as the whole Aryan Brotherhood thing, I'm gonna tell you what really does not make sense to me. Why would he admit to being hired by officials? Like, what does he stand to gain? And also, why would officials want to use a Aryan Brotherhood member to off R. Kelly? Well, I get why they would want to do that if it's all true, but what I don't understand is, why would you sign up for that job? Okay, yes, you kill R. Kelly and they tamper with the evidence, but at the same time, I'm sure there's a member who, before they let you off to the public, before they release you to the public from jail, they have to go over a docket which shows how you've been, behaving in the facility. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be very difficult for me if I'm the person who signs off on releasing an inmate back into the public. If I see this big old murder conspiracy on your file, I don't know if I'm going to release you. I'm not sure I'm going to release you back to the public. And no one can predict the future. How do you know that you're going to be acquitted just because the evidence has been fudged? How do you know they're going to actually fudge the evidence? Because, I mean, it's your word against the officials. Who are they going to believe? And if the officials are so terrified of this whole male mishandling that they'll hire a Aryan Brotherhood member to off R. Kelly of all people, what makes you think that they're going to take the risk on a inmate and hiring an inmate who kills R. Kelly? What makes you think they're going to take the chance of this blowing up in their face? Okay, let's say they hire you to kill R. Kelly, you actually do it, and then you get turned against the officials, and now you're saying the officials hired me to do it. What makes you think they're going to take the chances of all that happening? I mean, yeah, this is craziness, man. And, what makes it plausible, and again, I think this is great attorney work, is that this has happened before. You probably heard, you probably didn't hear. R. Kelly was attacked, knife attack, not long ago. It wasn't that long ago. It was like last April. He was attacked, and the person who attacked R. Kelly, I think he tried to stab him, or he did stab him. He said that he was hired by the government. I was like, whoa, why? So look, man, that's what's happening on the surface. But what I think is truly happening is R. Kelly, they're trying to silence him. Look, the reason R. Kelly has to be in jail is because he reneged on his contract. I'm talking about his contract with the elites, right? You call them the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. Look, you don't get to such a high tier within the music industry without a lot of bad stuff happening. And it turns out, because R. Kelly is really, his roots, his foundation is in the church. So that's always going to be there. And at some point, he was going to have to, at some point, those two foundations were going to come to a head. This whole Illuminati thing, devil worshiper thing, and this whole Jesus Church Foundation thing, eventually it was going to come to a head. And it turns out, or at least it feels like, that the good side won. And when that happened, they had to get rid of R. Kelly because R. Kelly knows so much. Now, in order for R. Kelly to even have been in the secret society circle in the first place, they had to have had some kind of information or some kind of dirt or blackmail dirt. We say dirt. They had to have some kind of dirt on R. Kelly. And trust me when I tell you, it's probably those tapes they discover out of all of a sudden of him doing certain things, peeing on, I don't want to speak on this too much, but, defecating on minors and whatever else they found in this newest trial. So, look, that was his blackmail. And when he decided to renege on his contract against the Illuminati, the elites, trust me, that's where all those tapes came from. All right? Trust me. Because, those tapes had to be ancient. Where did they come from? Who put them out there? It's just how the game goes when you decide to take that contract with the devil. I'm sorry. And the only way to avoid it is just not to do it at all. Look, you don't think I could be famous by now? I've been put in situations where I could have, advanced my career the wrong way. But look, I've made it very clear. I hate Satan, like with a burning passion, which is really ironic. But I hate him so much. And they already knew, let's not bring him into the meeting because he's not going to accept. That's what I think is happening with R. Kelly. He knows too much, and he's already been placed in jail, which means he's probably angry. And if you're the elites, you're afraid that he's going to talk. You're afraid that at any moment he's going to get desperate and he's going to start saying things. And when that happens, we got a lot of problems. It's kind of like the Jeff Epstein situation. Like, I don't think for a second that he actually died from hanging himself in jail. I think at the end of the day, he had access to too many skeletons, too many keys, too much information, and they had to get rid of him. This is exactly what I think is happening with R. Kelly. I think they're just trying to get rid of him. And you know what? If I'm a judge, I got to make a decision on that. But, I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's crazy. It's a lot. All right, next, I want to talk about Kamala Harris. Now, look, Kamala Harris lost by a landslide against Donald Trump in 2024. And there's a lot of talk about whether or not that was an authentic win. To me, something just was a little off, especially when you saw how the president and Elon Musk started to become the best of friends right afterwards. And Elon Musk has already gone on record. I'm not saying anything that's not already public, okay? Elon Musk has already gone on record as saying that Donald Trump would not have won the election without him. Now, you can speculate for hours, for days on what the heck that means. But most people are essentially saying that Elon Musk did something with all the tech that he has. I mean, I just saw yesterday, this guy's worth like $400 billion. Do you know how much money? I don't even know how much money it is. I can't even ask you because I don't know how much money that is. It's like, how do you count to 400 billion? Like, seriously, who's holding his money? Like, what bank account? It's ridiculous. So I'm like, yo, you don't think that this guy had the capacity, had the means to do something? It's possible. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that it happened or not. I'm just saying that it wouldn't surprise me if somebody said, hey, Elon Musk used his tech genius. This dude is creating spaceships that can fly to Mars, for crying out loud. You think he can't rig an election? So look, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. But the bigger point is, what really surprised me is how big of a landslide it was when he beat Kamala. Well, nevertheless, Kamala Harris is already starting to put the seeds into the ground. You know, nothing happens overnight, whether it be making a child, raising a flower, I don't know. Look, nothing happens overnight, and she is quietly, very quietly, putting the seeds into the ground right now. For example, the LA deportation efforts have been all over the news headlines. And what did your girl do? What did Kamala Harris do? She decided to make a statement. And that statement essentially demonizes Donald Trump. All right. That's strategy one. Like, let's demonize this guy that y'all put in office. And it made her look like a great candidate. Like, hey, I would never do anything like this. I would never send out the National Guards to disperse American citizens. She's already putting that seed in your mind. And yes, she has been criticized for that statement, but it's still a good move nonetheless. And I'll tell you something that really threw me off. There was a video I watched on Instagram 2 days ago, and you won't believe it. Kamala Harris laid out every single thing that Donald Trump would do, from getting in office, signing off a ton of bills, and attacking the American people with the National Guard. She said these things explicitly. Now, one of two things is true. Either she is really good at reading Donald Trump, or they're in cahoots. All right, when I say in cahoots, I mean, I've always, and I'm going to always stand by this, I think that the Democrats and the Republicans work together. I just think that's what it is. And I think they take turns like, hey, you guys ready? You guys got the next 4 years. For example, it wouldn't surprise me if the next election, no matter what happens, goes to the Democrats. No matter what happens. It's kind of like after Donald Trump won, what was the next thing that happened? Biden won. And then Donald Trump came back. It wouldn't surprise me if this was all laid out. It's probably on some little sheet of paper that's kept inside of a safe, kept inside of another safe. Look, it wouldn't surprise me. I think without question, the next president is going to be a Democrat. I don't know if it's going to be Kamala, but she's definitely going to win out as far as the Democratic nominee. So yeah, it's going to probably be Kamala. And she's already planting the seeds now, okay? And she is not getting, it's not difficult to do so. Now, one thing about the election that's always been a problem for me and why I never vote, and I know that sounds incredibly bad, but when it comes to voting, to me, it's like you're trying to select between the lesser of two evils. And I'm going to tell you the way I've summed it up. And you're going to agree or you're going to disagree. It depends on who you are and how you see the world. For me, it's very difficult to pick between the devil and Satan. That's kind of what it is and what it feels like to me when I'm picking political candidates or trying to pick one winner out of these two people. All right, either you pick the Republicans and you get this. You get racism. You get Donald Trump's. You get this blind leadership that's all about, self-preservation and preservation of the rich. I mean, who wants that? Who wants a president who incites racism and racist people? And don't give me the whole Donald Trump is not racist. I don't think he's a criminal racist, and I think there's a difference. There's a criminal racist, and then there's a racist. A criminal racist is someone who acts out their racism using criminal behavior. And maybe Donald Trump is a criminal racist. But nevertheless, he was acquitted, right? Was he acquitted? He was acquitted, right? He didn't go to jail for that. Right. So so legally speaking, he's not a criminal racist. A regular racist is somebody who just wants their race to dominate. I would probably categorize as one of those, right? I want black people to dominate everything. If I were Asian, the same thing would be true. If I was a Caucasian American, I would want Caucasian Americans to dominate everything. I don't think there's anything wrong systematically with being a racist. I think the only problem occurs when you start to transition into the criminal activity. All right, when you start hurting kids that's wearing a hood and you're doing neighborhood watch, nobody hired you, and a kid is just trying to go to 7-Eleven and get some Skittles. I think that's, and you end up shooting them, and then you try to sell the gun up. Like, I think that's when you cross the line, all right? But fundamentally speaking, I don't think being a racist is bad. I think everybody's a racist genetically. I think everyone's a racist naturally, okay? I don't know any white person like, hey, I really want black people to dominate everything. And I don't know any black person like, hey, I really want white people to dominate everything. As far as I can tell, every race wants their race to be as superior as possible. In a perfect world, all races would do well. But that's just not how it works, is it? It's not, like when you're looking at a race, Olympic race, they don't all cross the line at the same time. Certain runners just do better as a result of their preparation. But the point is, it's like picking the lesser of two evils. If I pick a Republican, I'm going to deal with a whole bunch of racism because, unfortunately, all presidents are usually white. And as a result, most white presidents incite white people. And when white people have power, we've seen this 100 times over, they don't know how to handle it. Like I'm telling you, what I'm seeing from Donald Trump is giving me one thing. And don't hold me to this, and I'm not going to ever say it again, but it's giving me little dick energy, man. Like everything that Donald Trump is doing right now is just giving me a little penis energy. It's like, yo, bro, calm down. Like, yo, let a little air out the tire, bro. You don't got to, you know what I'm saying? Like my next story about the LA deportations, I'll talk about it more, but it's like, bro, why are you tripping so bad? You know who I blame? I blame Melania. Like when your man is tripping, ladies, you gotta handle your guy because Donald Trump ain't getting something. All right, the man was paying porn stars for crying out loud, so he ain't getting something. All right, and then if you put a Democrat in office, it's almost even worse. You're gonna get a satanic agenda-based leadership. I mean, seriously, what did Barack Obama do? You couldn't pay me to tell you what Barack Obama did as president. I can't tell you. The only thing I can remember is he instituted gay marriage laws. That's satanic as hell. And my thing is this, man. Look, I'm not here to be politically correct. This is probably why I'll never be famous and stuff like that. It's okay. I'm already at peace with it. But, you can't tell me that gay marriage is okay. It's not. Because if every person went gay, the world goes extinct. If I said, hey, or I should say, I'll put it like this. If every man dated men moving forward, every woman dated women exclusively moving forward, who is going to create babies? So in essence, homosexuality in essence is like genocide because there's no procreation when the same sex is with the same sex. And this is all that Barack Obama, in my opinion, and I know this is not true. All right, this is hyperbole. I'm just being, entertaining. But that's the most significant thing that I can remember that Barack Obama did. It's just legalized gay marriage. He killed Barack, what's his name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. It's been so long. Saddam, it's not Saddam Hussein, but the other one, the one that's skinny and tall. Damn, I forgot his name. Yeah, I heard that he killed him. Right? He put forth the operation to get rid of Osama bin Laden. Oh my gosh. But look, man, don't get me to jumping down no rabbit holes because there was some talks that Osama bin Laden had been dead a long time ago. There was some talks of that, and then what compounded my suspicion about that was the fact that they didn't bring back any evidence. What was it? We dumped his body over the water or over a boat. Like this man, theoretically speaking, is responsible for thousands of American deaths. You don't think we wanted to see that body? You don't think we wanted to see some kind of evidence of that body? Look, you're not going to get me off task here. But the point is, when you elect a Republican, you're going to deal with a whole bunch of bullying and white supremacy and a whole bunch of protecting the rich. And if you put a Democrat in office, you're going to deal with a whole bunch of bad spending, giving money away. The economy's going to tank because of inflation. And of course, you're going to get a whole bunch of Satanism. I don't care what nobody... Look, I don't care what nobody says. The Democratic Party is satanic, man. Straight up. All right, the Republicans are racist and the Democrats are Satanists. Pick between which one you want. How do I know the Democrats will say, look, when what's her name? When Kamala was running for president, what did she do? What was her campaign? Her big campaign highlight? It was to put Meg Thee Stallion on the stage. Why would you put a musician on the stage to propagate interest in your political agenda? Why would you do that? That makes no sense at all. Think about it. All right, and Meg Thee Stallion, what did she call her fans when she first came out? You know, when she was first getting hot, she called them hotties, right? And Meg Thee Stallion, what was it? Hot Girl Summer. I did a little investigation, and it turns out that Megan Thee Stallion, when she was calling her fans hotties, she was talking about like demons. You know what I'm saying? You know how Satan and demons live in hell, like hotties. So I want everyone to do this because you think I'm lying. Look up Meg. What's her name? Megan or Meg? Look up Meg Thee Stallion devil uniform or devil costume, and then tell me that's a Satanist, man. So the girl believes in Satan or something like that, and that's who Kamala Harris chose. So my point is, man, I don't trust Democrats. They are very it's always a satanic agenda. Barack Obama, the whole homosexual thing. I think homosexuality is satanic, man. I really do, because look, what do? And obviously, I'm already off the deep end, so I'm just going to go ahead and just keep going. Look, what do? They used the rainbow as their symbol of pride. And if you look up pride in the Bible, go to a Bible and look up pride. It's one of the worst things you can be. All right, it's prideful. And also, why would you use God's symbol? God gave us the rainbow as a symbol that he would never flood the earth again. So it's a promise to humanity. Why would you take something that is a Christian tenet and then use it for this perverse agenda? Why would you do that? Because you're a Satanist. So Barack Obama made it okay to be satanically conjoined. Look, to be married is holy matrimony. It's between a man, a woman, and God. Facts, right? Why would you even want to be married? Like, the whole concept of marriage is a biblical tenet. It's a concept that's from the Bible. So why would you even care? What would make more sense to me is if the homosexual community said we don't need marriage because we don't need holy matrimony. We don't need that. But they always want to use our stuff. They want to use our rainbows. Look, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. But every time it's a Democrat, the same things, man. It's some kind of satan. Look, I want you to pay attention. Next time a Democrat is in office, you're going to see more stuff about the Illuminati and Freemasons, and you're going to see more stuff about that kind of stuff. That's where all that stuff comes from. Ask Jay-Z. Who does he, like, you know what? Look, I'm just going to stop here, man. I'm just going to stop here. It's just bad, bro. And the Republicans, they are more conservatives. Like, they're conservative. They're more Christian based. However, their Christianity is so skewed. Like, how can you say you're a Christian, but like, you're all about the dollar? Like, the Bible clearly states you can't serve God and money. Like, seriously, it says that. So what throws me off is, and then if you go ask the average white conservatives, how do you say this word? Conservative. If you ask the average white American who loves and idolizes Trump, they'll probably tell you that Jesus is white. And it's like, Jesus is from Bethlehem. There's no, like, Jesus was born in Bethlehem. But I guarantee you, most of these MAGA people, they probably got a white Jesus on their wall. So you know what that means? That means you're worshiping a fake Jesus. You're worshiping an American Jesus. And they're going to wonder why the Bible says that when Jesus does come back, he is going to say to some people, I don't know you. It's because you've been serving a white Jesus when Jesus was from Bethlehem. And a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing is just not rooted in the Bible. It's not supported by the Bible. Like, Jesus fed the poor. He gave. Trump is ruling with an iron fist, almost like a lot of the dictators from the Bible who never are shown in the positive light. Like, goodness gracious, where am I at with this video? Let me get back on task. Oh my goodness, I'm off. All right, the LA deportations are just hard to watch. So if you don't know, your boy Donald Trump, and I want to make sure it's very clear, I'm a fan of Donald Trump. I don't know why. I'm going to tell you why I'm a fan of Donald Trump before I go down this rabbit hole further. I'm a fan of Donald Trump for one reason. It's because he has audacity. That's it. That's the only reason. He's audacious. And he doesn't care about being politically correct. That is why I like him. That's it. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm somewhat of the same kind of person. I don't care about people's feelings. I don't care about being politically incorrect or ostracized because of my political views. I don't care about any of that. The way I see it is we all have our opinions. And if you don't respect mine, what makes you think I give a damn about yours? Like, I would rather you say, hey, you know what? I don't agree with you, Rick, but I respect what you have to say. That's it. We're cool. I don't agree with you either, but I respect what you got to say. So, but it's always like an attack on my views in favor of the other person's views. And I like the fact that Trump stands 10 toes strong on what he believes and what he thinks. This is what I like about Donald Trump. So anyway, look, man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one here. So he has just really stuck to his guns as it relates to this whole immigration thing. That was one of his strongest campaigning points, and he is not playing games about it. Okay, over the last few days, over the last couple of days, he's enlisted the National Guard and Marines on, and this is the tricky part. You would think it would be American citizens, but technically it's not. Stay with me here. Stay with me here. So he's enlisted, or is that the right term? I feel like it's the wrong term. He's put forth, is that a better term? He's put forth the National Guard and the and Marines on individuals within Los Angeles. And it's been crazy. Now, there was a lot of comparisons between what's going on right now to the LA riots for the Rodney King situation. And it turns out these things are not exactly related. First off, this whole ICE deportation effort is relegated to about 5 blocks, whereas like all of LA was on fire for Rodney King. So this is a big difference in scale. That's number one. Another thing that is important to note is that this is nowhere near as violent. Like the Rodney King situation, like there was people like dying. All right, people dying. It was blood being spewed. Whereas in this situation, you do have maybe a couple assaults, at least as it stands today, but no one's died. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that massive of a situation. And like I told you earlier, Kamala Harris definitely took this as the opportunity to make her first political strike. All right. And I don't blame her, because who in the world is going to replace Donald Trump when he leaves? And I'm going to tell white Americans this: you'll never get another president like Donald Trump again. Ever again. Unfortunately, he's abusing his power. The reason we'll get another black president is because Barack Obama didn't abuse things. Like if I became the president, I'm going to do what Donald Trump is doing. I'm going to have audacity. I'm going to stand 10 toes strong. And it might ruin it for the next generations of black presidents. But Donald Trump is ruining it for the strong white man president. The next white president, he's going to have to play by the rules. I can see some of Trump's like immediates, the people who support Trump, like what was his name, JD Vance. I can see them trying to emulate Trump, but they'll never be able to duplicate this level of white strength. Let me just tell you, I'm gonna say it right now. I'm not afraid to give the white race credit, man. Donald Trump is a bad mo-effer, bro. And look, I understand how polarizing that statement is, but I'm someone who looks at things objectively, right? Like, for example, I don't think all black people are good people at all. I think some of them are terrible. In fact, I don't even care about color. When it comes to me and my politics, as far as people are concerned, I'm only concerned with one of two things. Are you a good person or are you a bad person? That is how I decide who I like. I don't care about your color. You can be black as tar, but if you're evil, get away from me as far as possible. All right, if you're black and you don't know how to read, you're ghetto, and you every word is a cuss word, please go over there to the rapper section. That's a joke. That's a joke. And look, you can be as white as a freaking cucumber, which I get it. Albino cucumber. If you a God-fearing person and you live your life and you're just trying to be a positive person, I love you. Join us over here in the watermelon. Listen, but no, listen. I don't care about color. This is all about the contents of a person's character. There will never be another Donald Trump ever again. Okay, because he's just destroying it for everybody. There was a lawsuit even filed against Donald Trump. That is how terrible of a situation that's going down in LA right now. All right. I'm not sure who it was. Was it the Attorney General? Someone filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump saying that his force or use of force is excessive. Like, look, and I happen to agree with that. I don't think that the National Guard needed to be deployed for this situation. I just don't think so. I feel like this was something that the LAPD should have been able to handle, especially if the chaos is only within a 5-block radius. Okay, yeah, LAPD could have taken care of it. They could have beckoned the help of neighboring counties. They could have came in and helped as well. But to employ or deploy the National Guard, like, that is a level of force that I think is excessive. And it turns out that the reason he felt that he could do this was some type of legal loophole or wording loophole that allowed him to actually do this. But we already know what this is. This is basically Donald Trump putting on a poor man's version of Putin. And he is sorely confused if he thinks that this is effective in any capacity. Look, Putin is just in a different space. I don't even think that Putin could dominate or take over the United States. Let me tell you why. Because Americans are just different. Look, the minute you try to enforce all this stuff, martial law, all these different things, let me tell you who's going to get rattled. And this is a group of people you don't want to get rattled necessarily. Now, look, bear with me here. I'm about to cross some really bad lines. The white American man is pretty nuts. Now, I know that he has been on, collectively, has been on his best behavior. And it's the, hey, how you doing, neighbor? Let me tell you something. White and American man, they got a basement full of firearms and they're waiting for an insurrection. They're waiting for someone to tell them they can't do something that they think they have the right to do. All right, go get my pistol. I am about to light this bitch up. I'm telling you. So Donald Trump is definitely... I'm not buying it. And let me tell you who you also don't want to wake up. You know those black people, the ones with the firearm? Yeah, they waiting too. But see, with black Americans, we're a little bit smarter. We got our guns. We're waiting. But we know that before anything come to us, them white American people, y'all in front of us. All right, we know that if we see y'all start going, let me tell you what a scare a black American man. Let me tell you exactly what it is. If we see on the news or via any media stream that white American men have taken the charge and started to fight this threat, and then we see them go down, oh shit, it's us now. Look. We are not going in front of white Americans. We already seen how that movie played out. We've already kind of put ourselves in the back. We'll even pretend that we are, not as powerful, not as smart. Hey, how you doing, Jim? Hey, where's the watermelon seeds? We'll play that role because we want y'all to go in front of us. And because y'all crazy and audacious, y'all kiss alligators and stuff like that. And if y'all go down, then we'll come out and we'll show our muscle, our brass. That's what we thinking. Yeah. All right. So look. He was, they plan to sue him. I'm not sure if they've already filed the paperwork, but that's what it is. And the craziest thing I saw was a journalist from Australia. She got shot. Like, literally. I was about to say funny, and that was about to be incredibly inappropriate. But look, she was reporting on the sidelines about the LA situation, the ICE deportation situation. And the camera panned over to an officer. And it's like, I don't know what it was. It was like a trigger. The minute he panned over to the officer, he was in formation and he literally did this, bah, and shot the Australian journalist in the butt cheek. And she was like, oh my God. And then they start going off on him. But it was a rubber bullet. I don't think it was a real bullet. The point is, it's like, bro, they really zerping out over there. Because you would think to yourself, look, even though the National Guard are being deployed on Los Angeles, they're not really going to go out and start laying stuff down because, look, you have a duty to your position as a National Guard member, but you also have a spirit, a heart, a moral code. And you're like, look, I'm not going to do anything to hurt anybody, even though this little penis man is making me do all this stuff because he got Napoleon complex. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm not going to hurt anybody for real, but I'm going to do my job so I don't get locked up or I don't get dishonorably discharged, etc., etc. But in this case, homie was all about it. I don't know what make him shoot a female like that. She was definitely no threat to anybody. And I look at the race. I slowed it down. I think he was Latino, by the way. Yeah, I just thought that was crazy. I didn't think that was going to happen. Well, anyway, KB Lane, the guy that does the little things on TikTok, even he got deported. Now, it turns out that his deportation was voluntary. And I got to talk about this. How did they even put their sights onto KB Lane to even address him or try to deport him in the first place. Because if you look on TikTok, the dude got like 120 million followers. So you're just not even thinking about this guy, right? But it turns out some guy by the name of Bo Ladon, oh my gosh, some white kid named Bo Ladon is taking credit. You get the bunny ears here. Taking credit for directing ICE and raid agents towards KB Lane. That's what he said. Look, he felt that, or he knew, or had some kind of insider information. I'm talking about Bo Ladon. He had some insider information that KB Lane was staying here, when he shouldn't have been. And he made some calls and, got KB Lane hemmed up, in other words. And it turns out they caught him at the international airport in Las Vegas, which is going through a lot right now. Las Vegas has a lot going on right now. But they caught him at the international airport and they hemmed him up. And it turns out he voluntarily left the country. Why did he even get hemmed up in the first place? How was he here? Turns out he was here on a visa that had expired. And, when your visa expires, you're supposed to go back to your country. But he was staying here illegally. And that's essentially what happened. But they would have never even known this was a problem in terms of KB Lane if it wasn't for Bo Ladon. Now, go Google Bo Ladon. I'm going to spell his last name for you. Loudon. Now, tell me what that little boy looked like. Man, I was like, as soon as I saw a picture of this guy, I was like, man, where did they get this little nerd from? I can't tell you. I was just like, man, this is like a straight ass kisser. That's the best I can like a straight up ass kisser. A Trump ass kisser to be exact. Like, I'm pretty sure if you zoom in on his lips is orange. Ridiculous. But it doesn't stop there. Turns out that they're having some type of army parade in DC. And your boy Trump is already tripping. He talking about if there are any protests that, get out of hand for the DC Army Parade this year, those protesters, get this, will be met with heavy force. I'm like, this dude is tripping. Why is he so, why is he in such a hurry to hurt American citizens? Like, what's wrong with this guy? And look, this is coming from somebody who actually likes Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. But I can't fake it. This guy is hurting his own people. And that's not just black people. That's not just Latino people. It's white people he hurting too. Like, I told you in the last couple videos, one lady got fired from her government job because of Elon Musk with his punk ass. She got fired from her job and she had a freaking Trump flag outside. She done took it down now. She had a Trump flag outside. Like, he's hurting his own people. Like, and what's crazy to me is you got some Trump supporters who see he's hurting his own people and you still support him. That's crazy. That's called love, man. That's called love. All right, you got it. Look, love is forgiving. Love is forgiving. I forgive him for taking my job. I can imagine there's got to be one person out there like they got fired because of Elon Musk's bullcrap. You know what? Look. Let me listen. Shit, Rick, tone it down. Donald Trump. Yes, I did lose a job. I lost it, and it was because of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's agenda. But he's a great president. Like, what? That's some of y'all. Yeah, but according to him, if the protests get crazy in DC during the whole army celebration, they're gonna be met with heavy force. Man, that's crazy, man. I don't know. But first off, I'm like this. I'm thinking to myself, look, I just hope everybody don't protest. Just goodness gracious, just go home. Don't exert your amendments, your constitutional rights, as they say. Don't do that. And then this is another thing that's throwing me off. Donald Trump in the news over the last couple of days has been said to be changing all the army bases back to their, or not all of them, but the ones that had Confederate names. He's going to change them back because when the Dems were in office, to make a political point, they were removing the Confederate army bases names, or the names of army bases that were named after Confederate soldiers. So they were going to remove those, like the Robert E. Lee's, etc., etc. But it turns out that Donald Trump is going to revert that decision and give them back their Confederate names. Here we go. Let me count the ways why I think that this is some old BS. All right. The first thing that's BS is the reason why Trump is going to revert the names. He says that we've won a lot of battles out of those forts or out of those bases using those old Confederate soldiers' names. And according to him, he's superstitious. Bullcrap, right? He's superstitious, and this is why he's going to revert the names because, hey, I guess he believes in luck, right? And hey, we can't change it now because we've won so many battles with that name as it is. And I feel like if we change the name, we're going to start losing battles. Like, first off, if your prowess as a soldier or a country is based on names, you're probably not that powerful to begin with. And secondly, once again, Donald Trump is showing that he is more like them than like us. And when I say like us, I mean the American people. Why in the world would you be fighting and vouching so hardly? Is that a word? Why would you be vouching so strongly for individuals who were guilty of treason? Essentially, that's what the Confederate were. That's the Confederate soldiers were treasonous. And you only feel that way if you are a black American. If you're a white American, especially if you're one that supports Donald Trump, you don't see the treason. That's because your people wasn't in bondage, for crying out loud. All right? Because these individuals, and I don't know all the history, but I can sum it up by saying they fought to keep black people slaves because they were an essential part of the economy. Well, I mean, I'm not going to support that. Look, I get it. You saw black people as 2/3 of a human, which is bullcrap. Hey, at some point, this is how I know Barack Obama was not the first black president. I'm gonna tell you how I know this. Because he didn't make drastic changes to the Constitution. That part where it says black people are 2/3 of a human being should have been immediately sketched out. Like, if I'm ever a black president in this country, that's the first thing I'm attacking. Get rid of that whole 2/3 bullcrap, because that's been the reason why some of these cops who've killed innocent black people in the past, that's why they keep getting off, because it's like equivalent to killing a dog. And speaking of a dog, did you see how a lot of white Americans reacted to Michael Vick when there was a whole dog fighting scandal going on? Those same people were silent when black people were shot down. And you know what? It's just bullcrap. Now, I'm not understanding why Trump is fighting so hard to rename these army bases, Fort Bragg, Robert E. Lee base, all that. Why are you fighting so hard to do that when these individuals were not America first? All right, that's what Trump keeps trying to sell us, that he's America first. Well, why are you supporting people who are not supporting America? Because guess what? I know you probably don't realize this, but America is not just white Americans. Wow, who knew? Wow, who knew that? So when you say you support America, guess what you mean? You mean white Americans, black Americans, Latino Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian American. America is a melting pot. And trust me when I tell you this, if everyone left this country and went back to where they came from, first off, white Americans would be miserable. They would have it'd be a problem. It'd be a problem. You understand? Because white Americans are lazy as hell. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, there's this big misconception that black people are lazy, and they are. But what they also need to add in is that, you know who's lazier than black people? White Americans are the most laziest mofos ever. That's why they will sit on the horse watching us work. That's lazy. Oh, and then there's this big thing about how, Mexicans, there's some thieves. You know who's a bigger thief than Mexicans? How about stealing a country? You know, look, my point is this. America is not just white America. It's so many different, races that make up this beautiful place. And why would you even care about individuals who wanted to keep Americans in bondage? Why would you care about that? All right. They were not us, right? They were fighting against America. You big goofy. That's why you had the Civil War. It was America versus the Confederacy. So why would you even support anybody that's going against America? I think it's common sense. If Donald Trump was really about America first, it wouldn't have even taken Biden and his administration to get rid of these Confederate names. It would have been Trump who did it. And he would have did it because, guess what? These people were fighting against America. Anybody that's against America, we don't have any space for them. That includes the Confederate individuals. That includes them. Now, it's muddy water, and if I am a white American, I might feel different than what I feel like right now. I might say to myself, look, they were fighting for an old America, so it was still America, but it wasn't the new America that we have now. Well, the point is, they were fighting against America. That's the point. I want to whitewash it for you and make it, more palatable. But the fact of the matter is, America was going against somebody, the Confederate, and that's it. That's it. The end. So they're not Americans, in my opinion. They're anti-American. They're treasonous. They were going against what we see today. And I just feel like Trump he let me down on that. I'm someone who likes Trump because I just think that he's like a father. He's like I think a lot of people who wanted Kamala Harris to be the president, they probably, and this is gonna sound terrible, but they want a softer style of leadership. But the fact of the matter is, leaders have to be kind of like a Trump. And this is why I struggled to respect Joe Biden. He was too old to be a leader to me. This is why I struggled to respect Barack Obama, because he was too nice. He was trying to please everybody. I feel like a leader oftentimes is ostracized. They're often someone that people don't like because they have to make tough and difficult decisions. It's kind of like your household. You probably didn't like your parents because they were trying to put in these parameters to keep you safe. They were the leaders of your house. Sure, you would like them if they would have given you everything you liked. That's like what I feel Kamala Harris's leadership might be, is to appease the people. But I think a real leader who's going to actually take his or her country from point A to point Z has to make tough decisions. And while I understand the whole deportation efforts, and I actually think that they were the right decisions, I'm going to tell you why I think that deportation was the right decision. It's because they were here illegally. That's the only reason. There's no other reason than that. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like that Donald Trump used the National Guard. I think that was overly excessive. But let's be very clear about something. Anybody that's in this country should have taken the proper channels to be here legally. Period. I know you want to argue about that. But anytime that you have to do something illegally, it's wrong. It's wrong, and it's wrong, and it's wrong, and it's wrong again. If you think I'm lying, okay, well, I know what you're saying. Your comeback is this. Well, the people were here because their country was bad. All right, I get you. I understand that. And they were here because their country was going through this and going through that. Okay, all right. I can empathize. I can sympathize with that. All right, having ancestors that were, stolen from their homeland and brought here, I can sympathize with that whole concept. Here's the thing. Even so, they should have or still needed to take the proper channels to get here. All right. And if you think I'm crazy, I'm about to show you how crazy you are. Watch this. You wake up, you go downstairs, and there's two people in your house, a man and his wife. They're in your house and they're saying, hey, I don't mean any trouble. My country is really, really bad, and we just need somewhere to stay. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I just want to stay here. You know what you're gonna say? You're gonna say, "Why are you in my house?" Hey, the door was. I climbed down the chimney, or the window was open, and I climbed in, but I don't mean any harm. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be like, "All right, well, go ahead and stay." No, you're gonna say, "Yo, you just broke into my house illegally. We got problems." Some of y'all is gonna try to hurt the person that's in your house. Some of y'all gonna call the police. So who's the hypocrite, me or you? All right, you're gonna say, wait, there's a way you do things. If you were going through these problems in your country, you know what you should have did? You should have knocked on my door. That's the first thing you do, okay? And give me the opportunity to address you. When I come to the door, that's when you can we can greet each other. You tell me who you are as a person. And if you do that effectively, then I might let you into my house, because now I understand who you are, and it's a safe, and I'm not putting my own people in danger. That's all immigration is. You have people entering into the country without going through the proper channels. So if you think that is wrong to remove them, then you're also saying, hey, I will allow two strangers to come into my house without my notice, and for me to spot them in my house. And then I wouldn't ask them to leave, and I wouldn't call police. You got to be bull crapping right now. You know you would. And if you would do that, that means you support Donald Trump's actions. You just, and what it is it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So what he's doing is correct. And I don't even want to say getting rid, because these are human beings, but he's correcting a incorrection, right? He's having people take the proper channels. And unfortunately, he's not really doing that. He's removing people and saying good riddance. But the right decision would have been to say, hey, we don't want to, put you back in harm's way. We understand you have family here. Have some compassion, right? But hey, there's a certain way that you do this. So this is what we're going to do. I realize that it's you and your family here, your husband, you, the wife, and 3 kids. So what's going to happen is we're going to send the father back home to begin the process of legally bringing you and your children here as long as you have no criminal record. And while that's happening, we've built a place, or we're going to ask you to stay in a certain area to make sure that this process sees its way through. In the event that your husband is not able to do that, you will have to go back. But we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, realizing that you've already, put things in place here. We're going to send the father back to the homeland to get things in order. Or you've already, as a administration, created a a system to deal with the situation. Meaning, you find these people that are here illegally and say, hey, we understand that you're here illegally. We're going to send you back home. But we've created a 3-step program to make sure you're back within 6 months if everything is clean. There you go. All right. You've just created an expedited process to get these people back into the country safely. Okay. Safely. That process would have been set up. And the only way you can even get back within those 6 months is if we do a extensive background check to make sure you are who you are, make sure that you have no criminal background. And if that's the case, we'll gladly welcome you here, especially since you were doing things to help the economy. You were doing things to help your community. We don't want to penalize you, but there is a thing called order, and I'm a big believer in order, period. Like if I wanted to go to Poland right now and I just snuck in, I should be sent back to the United States. Seriously. Even if as a Black American, I wanted to go back to Africa, as some people would say, I want to go back to Africa. They have systems and orders and rules and laws in place. I can't just go back to Africa. Hey, I'm back to my people. Like, no, you got to go. It's rules, brother. And it's such thing as, the laws of the land. You might not agree with them. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but there's a such thing called the laws of the land. And if you're in the country illegally, you have to follow the laws of the land. Period. That's it. And this is why I don't support Donald Trump's efforts, but I do support his intent. It's a big difference. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure that, certain jobs and opportunities are not taken away from the American people. But then he goes back and he names all these army bases after people who are against Americans. Hey, man, Donald Trump needs to sit the hell down. And I blame Melania, too. It's her fault because he's tripping.